I pity the fool. I pity the fool. All right, what is going on, guys? North Korean leader urges greater nuclear weapons production in response to a new Cold War. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un called for an exponential increase in production of nuclear weapons and for his country to play a larger role in the coalition of nations confronting the United States in a new Cold War, state media said on Thursday. It said that the Korean Central News Agency, or KCNA, said that Kim made his comments during a two-day session of the country's rubber stamp parliament, which amended the constitution to include his policy of expanding the country's nuclear weapons program. It says the Supreme People's Assembly session on Tuesday and Wednesday came after Kim traveled to Russia's Far East this month to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin and visit military and technology sites. The trip sparked Western concerns about a possible arms alliance in which North Korea would supply Putin with badly needed munitions to fuel his conflict in Ukraine. It says in exchange for economic aid and advanced Russian technologies to enhance North Korea's nuclear and missile systems. So imagine they are going to be giving him ammo, and then he's going to be giving him money and, of course, technology to where they could do some real damage. It says as North Korea slowly ends its pandemic lockdown, which, again, not many people knew that they actually had, Kim has been actively boosting his partnerships with Moscow and Beijing as he attempts to break out of diplomatic isolation and join a united front against Washington. He has described the world as entering a new Cold War and that North Korea should advance its nuclear capabilities in response. No matter what you think about North Korea, the fact that they are actually working with Vlad and Putin, people are very confused right now. Everybody believes something different. Everybody is very doubtful of almost anything coming out of mainstream. But mainly, even if you took everything with a grain of salt and thought maybe if 1% of what is happening in the world is true, then there are a whole lot of paths that this could go very wrong. So we'll talk about this and much more on today's show on Marfoogle TV. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. Beg your pardon, trees dropping, think I'm logging on your heart and knees, popping bees, falling shrunk insurance, painted cotton, world's gotten so rotten. All you care about is what you bought, and no, it's jotting, mobs mobbing, beg your pardon, trees dropping, think I'm logging on your heart and knees, popping bees, falling shrunk insurance, painted cotton. As always, if you want to find a full bibliography for every single article, tweet, video, picture, document, you can go over to our website, marfooglenews.com, and find all of the sources for today's show. That way you can check our work and make sure that, of course, where we got that information from. Now, today's show, Elon Musk will own the sky. All you have to do is just go click on this thumbnail and you'll find a full source list. On top of that, there are a whole bunch of other things that will be over on our website, including tweets, videos, pictures, documents that we may not be able to show you because of copyright reasons or something else. Again, once you go there, you'll see all of that right there. Plus, you'll see overflow. There's also documents, again, tonight that are on there, so make sure to go over and check it out. We'll be talking about Elon Musk, the new contracts, regardless of how many people try to cancel him. It's going to go both ways. There's going to be people that believe that he's not cancelable because he's secretly part of the thing, and then there's people that are going to say, well, he's not being canceled, even though they're trying every which way, and they're going to be cheering him on because he's still getting contracts. He's still doing things right. One thing I will say is he actually went to the border today and tried to show that, the actual situation going on there. I've talked to friends in Texas, and they said it is as bad. It's actually worse than what mainstream media says it is. And it is an issue that has been polarized, and people basically consider it a left versus right thing. I think it should be a human thing. If you've seen some of the videos of people trying to fit their babies underneath huge, spools of like riled up barbed wire, putting cardboard up so they can squeeze a baby in the dirt. I mean, like it's this should be a human issue. This should be a nonpartisan, like, hey, let's figure out a better way. Let's figure out a way that this doesn't happen. Let's figure out some way to have it to where people aren't trying to do that. And everybody kind of outweighs the bad things that are happening and the kids getting moved across it because they're saying, well, they're trying to get a better life. In the process, we are losing a lot of people. We are losing a lot of babies and kids across that border. So it is something that is very, very polarized. And again, we'll hit it over the show, but again, lots to talk about tonight. And it's a later show, so we will not be doing calls, but we will have Dex in here as well. So let's bring my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing tonight?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So his, by the way, this is one of the videos here. This was Elon Musk at the border, and he tested out actually going live on Elon. And I'm sure that there's going to be articles tomorrow saying that his live streaming, the live streaming services don't work properly on Twitter or whatever else. You have to understand he had like 3.5 million viewers or something, or I don't know how many he actually had when he was live, but I know that it was either hundreds of thousands, if not a million, people watching. I don't know if that's ever. Maybe Tucker Carlson has had that happen, but I don't think they've ever done that where they're live streaming from a location. I think Tucker uploads his videos and then puts them up. This is an actual live stream, so that's pretty insane. I don't know what the top show ever has been on YouTube, but I wonder if that broke some records. So that's over on the overflow. There's all sorts of other great stuff. Also, make sure, thank your mods right now. Your mods are part of the community. They always try to direct you guys to the right place. So make sure to thank your mods by dropping an M in the chat right now. You can actually find all of the mods channels over on marfooglenews.com/friends. Thank you. Make Out with Chaos, Tall Corn Survival, Hopkinson says Elon is a puppet. And then some say, I love Elon. I can't get enough of Elon. There's both sides. And one thing I will say is it's crazy because he is right. He has, it's the one side of the aisle very much so hates him. But then there's also one half of the right side, which also hates him because of the things he's doing, the Neuralink, the robots, the all of the different things he's talking about with SpaceX and NASA and doing all this work with agencies that not a lot of people have faith in this community. So yeah, it's a toss up in this audience. But what I will say is it's one of those things where it's really hard not to at least look at the actions and say, man, those are good things. Like they're saying the right things. But some would say that that's kind of like, what we would get with an antichrist scenario or something. Somebody that everybody loves that's, that basically overall has some sort of other agenda. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And then, let us know what is up. Ian DeBow, ready now. We've got Lori Markle. If you guys want to do a quick roll call, where are you from? Just a general state. You'll find people from that same state. I find that everybody gets along and immediately has something in common when they find other people from their state. So shout it out. Truth Iris, Space Comer. We've got, of course, Watch Wolf over on DLive. We've got Paranormal Biker, Louis Tremposh. It says at least guy with money is using it to better humanity. Ryan Alter, thumbs up to Elon. And you know what? I've seen where people are afraid to say that they like Elon because of the other people in the community. I would say share your real opinion, whatever it may be. Like if you like Elon, you know, say you like Elon. If you don't like Elon, say you don't like Elon. The thing that happens now is people basically get on the bus of what they think everybody thinks, and that's why we're in a lot of problems right now, especially with what I think is like, being brainwashed to people to just believe something without actually knowing any background on it. If you question a lot of folks on their current cultural beliefs right now, their response is to get angry, scream at you, or do something crazy like, go, ah! We've seen a million cases of this where really, if you try to debate people on certain things, they don't actually have an argument. In fact, they don't know anything about it. Or you'll be able to shout out, real statistics or where things came from. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, you and your intelligent argument. That's what people are running into. It's turned into like where you're fighting with a 5-year-old or a kindergartner, like saying, yeah, well, na 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 boo boo. I don't care if you have your points and your valid things, and that's basically what all of culture has turned into today. So we're heavily divided. I think we should not be. I think we should get past if somebody believes the polar opposite of ourselves, that we still could, find something in common. But both sides say, I will never deal with this person. I can't deal with them. And I understand, because the things that they're doing are infuriating on both sides because you've been trained that way. That's what I think. I think we've been trained to hate the other side, and it is a tactic by outside sources that are trying to essentially tear us apart, sow all sorts of chaos, and then make us weak to where the point where we can just be taken over. But that's just my opinion. What's yours? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you, Vicky, Quintris, and everybody else. Dex, let's go back to, so first of all, North Korea and Kim Jong-un talking about nuclear weapons and how there needs to be all of this stuff. People always take Kim Jong-un as a joke. But what is actually happening right now? People in our community believe, oh, it's all a circus. It's never, nothing. This is all a nothing burger. Nothing's ever going to happen. But that's because every big event that has happened, we've all looked back and said there was shady things about this. There was this about this. They predicted this. And it's like, what are they predicting now? What do they keep portraying? They keep portraying that, one, we will have a World War III. Two, that there will be some sort of massive event that is equal or greater to 2001, to Pearl Harbor, to the Gulf of Tonkin, to any of these events that have, started off things, that there will be another one of those. And one of the main points that we would like to make is that you will not see it coming. You might have guessed it and you might know a time frame, but you're not going to know when, and it's going to hit people in the side of the head. Dex, what do you think as far as Kim Jong-un and the nuclear developments?
He just, is all of a sudden even more emboldened after his meeting with Putin. He takes the train ride, sits down, gets the gifts, reestablishes or reinforces the relationship, probably agreed to trading some secrets, and also probably continues to agree to be the, end of the puppet string, so to speak. I'm sure he doesn't think of it that way. I'm sure they make him think that he's greater than he is. But at the end of the day, I think between Xi and Putin, just like with their other allies, they kind of control him. And I can easily see them using him as a force, especially with things like building up nukes, building up greater and expanding the, what used to be the cold conflict. But as he's referring to it, it's that, a new cold conflict. So yeah, it's makes total sense because he just got back from his trip and he's emboldened and empowered.
His real light says I'm in Britain. Love you guys. Hey, it's nice to see folks from Britain. It's nice to see people from all over the world tuning in. Saw somebody yesterday from Brazil. Thank you guys for tuning in. And again, wherever you are, whether it be Australia, I know we have a bunch of Australians here. Even a couple South Americans here. Thank you guys. And a couple of people from West Africa and a couple of people from South Africa. So that's pretty awesome. Thank you guys for showing up, and thank you for watching. I hope you share it out, even locally where you live. Tell other people about us, because we do cover pretty much, all over the world. If we're missing something or if we're missing important news that you see out there, let us know. Email us, adam@marfooglenews.com or dex@marfooglenews.com. UAW boss set to announce expanded strikes at Detroit automakers if no progress made by Friday. So many people won't follow any of the strikes, or they don't care if somebody else is going to stop working for a couple days or for a couple months. Who knows? Or union stuff like this. Of course, many people did not follow much of anything back in the day. People didn't really, not as many people followed politics, not as many people followed economy. But now, with our economy on the edge, like somebody just said, the gas prices are spiking and peaking like crazy. Food, inflation, stagflation, shrinkflation, everything is happening. Everything is happening right now all at once. And when you see something like this, folks don't think it's going to affect them. Say, oh, I'm not buying a car. I'm not getting a Volvo. Or I'm not getting this. But it will, because when the economy is like this fragile ecosystem, and say you take one animal out of it, some other animal will start eating everything, and then it all, goes to crap, and all of your fish or all of your animals die. That's kind of how the economy works. If one part is screwed up, and one huge part of it, like automakers and big companies like this, then it can screw up the whole thing. Dex, we have actually followed this since beforehand. We actually had a caller from auto industry and said, yeah, it looks like we're actually going to be going on strike. Now we're seeing strikes all over the place. Besides Hollywood and writers and everything else, it looks like no one's really happy with what's going on right now with their pay, with anything.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, and this is a big deal because this is going, it's going to affect lots of places. I believe that caller was Dingus, and I literally we just got a message from him saying that he's got his strike papers. I don't know if that's the right term for it, but basically he's got his uh, times to stand the line, and if they go, he knows what time he's supposed to go. Now they've actually distributed that to him. I guess they're basically on the verge of going to. He is at a Ford plant in um, he said we could say this, Clacamo, Missouri. So I guess it's the Ford Kansas City assembly plant, that they're on the brink of going on strike too. So it's a lot. This is happening a lot, and I think there's another. We have a tweet that's right after this, and I think in this one it talks about it's not just the automobile industry, but somebody like Mack Trucks. So if many people don't think about Mack, but Mack is big too, and all those trucks that are built here, and they're joining in. So their contract is coming up in October, I believe it says. So I know a lot of people sort of just let this go, and they don't think about it, but it is a big deal. It's a lot of jobs and a lot of people.
And Mack Trucks, a good chunk of what is carrying all of our cargo around the country, what is doing construction gigs and all sorts of other things. This is going to affect everything. I mean, like these, large companies that are basically supporting all of the infrastructure. This is going to end up having a domino effect, and it affects other industries. And then also, whatever the results are, whether they solve it, they don't solve it, that can also cause other unions to go, oh, well, we need to negotiate our terms. And it gets people talking about the other. We're kind of seeing a bunch of these unions essentially, popping it out of nowhere and saying, yeah, you know what? They're right. We want to negotiate too. If you're in a union and you are right now, if there's any kind of talks of strikes that are not public right now, let us know if there's something that might be coming. Again, email me, adam@marfooglenews.com. And then Chinese hackers nabbed 60,000 emails in State Department breach. This is small compared to some of the other things that we've actually covered. What's crazy is that this is happening all of the time. And specifically, China has an entire, they out of all of the countries in the world, I think that China, out of everybody, we have covered the most publicly. And what's even crazier is that I bet you that there's a ton of other countries that are doing it to us, but they don't get as much coverage because they're not, public enemy number one. And they're not an easy subject for politicians to go, oh, China. I think just recently I even heard Trump, our ex-president, say that, the easy issues were to talk about were Russia and China, right? But when you have this, when you have them collecting data and hacking this much, then it's not good. Amongst the most sensitive information stolen, the staffer said, were victims' travel itineraries and diplomatic deliberations. It said hackers linked to the Chinese government stole around 60,000 emails from unclassified inboxes of 10 State Department employees as part of a high-profile hack earlier this summer, according to a readout from Senate staff briefing on Wednesday. The new details of the previously known hacking incident, which also impacted Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo, and are likely to only exacerbate concerns on Capitol Hill about Chinese hacking efforts, which have ramped up this year. It says, according to Senate staffer for Senator Eric Schmidt, granted anonymity in order to discuss a private briefing, top officials from the State Department revealed the new details of the hack during the Capitol Hill briefing. The officials, who included State Department Chief Information Officer Kelly Fletcher, told attendees that the focus of the hack was on Indo-Pacific diplomatic efforts, with 9 of the 10 email accounts breached at the State Department belonging to individuals working on those issues. The official was focused on Europe. The other official was focused on Europe. It says, among the most sensitive information stolen, the staffer said, were victims' travel itineraries and diplomatic deliberations. Fletcher also said that 10 Social Security numbers were viewed or could have been viewed via the hack. It says the State Department officials said hackers broke into the 10 accounts using a token stolen from a Microsoft engineer, and that in total, 25 entities were impacted by the breach. Is anybody find that this is odd that Mr. Gates went over and had dinner with Xi, and all of these different hacks, all of these big things that has come out, it has come out of Microsoft. Dex, do you remember how Microsoft said, "Oh, this big hack hit us," or "This other big hack hit us"? The 3 big announcements recently, and then this one says that they got into these accounts directly related to the Indo-Pacific stuff, as far as what's going on with Taiwan and what's going on with China. Specifically, they got a token, using a token stolen from a Microsoft engineer. That's super convenient. It's always something related to literally Microsoft. The company started by a gentleman who, from all public viewpoints, looks like he's really friendly with Xi and his wife. Has had them at his house over for dinner. What do you think about that?
He was the only one to go to dinner with Xi. He went over there and had a multi-hour meeting with Xi. This was right in the middle of all these other diplomats, all these other high-ranking people, even Elon Musk and Tim Cook and others who went over there who have huge business deals there. And then never mind the fact that political diplomats have a lot of clout, especially in the realm. None of them, if they got to meet with them, it was more for pictures and 5 minutes. But Gilly gets to go sit down and have dinner. Yeah, very odd.
Yeah, and it's crazy that some of the biggest, most important people that have gone there have not actually talked to Xi. Whereas Gates, who's also connected with all of the stuff that happened, directly connected to the 3-letter agency that was basically running the world from 2019 on, that they're directly connected. And then also China is directly connected and tied in with all of this, right? And almost everything that's happening around us kind of comes back to just a few people that are involved in all of it, that have their fingers kind of massaging into it, right? And all of the hacks, all of the possibilities that are happening right now, especially with stuff that could happen, hacks to the United States, attacks on the United States, they're all coming back to these hacks that deal with Microsoft. Now, I mean, obviously Microsoft is a majority of all of the computers around the world, but this is literally a token stolen from a Microsoft engineer, somebody who's literally working at Microsoft. Something was stolen and taken, and that's how they did it. That's not weird to people. It doesn't matter, though. There's people, if you talk about this or that place, they're protected. They also have deals with all of the, media companies and social media companies. So it's like if somebody is causing too much of a problem or brings up too much stuff, well, all of a sudden, freedom of reach, right? All of a sudden, nobody's seeing their stuff. It's both of these figures are consistent with the Microsoft has reported publicly, which publicly they have reported several huge attacks. And they were the first to discover all of these. Dex, can you remember that? What was the last one that was really big that we talked about? It was just recently, a couple weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, that some big thing happened where they accessed all sorts of stuff. Obviously, there's the solar winds attacks. There's other ones, but it was a bigger one that accessed infrastructure, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was, and I'm trying to remember exactly which because there's been so many. They all sort of run together. But yes, there's been numerous, and there's also been the ones. Just think about the ones that they won't tell us are hacks. The ones that they claim are glitches, like in uh, the air traffic control systems, like those going down in different regions, or airline systems going down, and then they just come back and say, "Yeah, it's just a glitch. Don't worry about it." But we know something else is happening there.
Yeah, it's it's wild. I mean, it really does. Everything has a string. If you were to have one of those like investigator walls with the strings and the thumbtacks, it's like all of the strings head back to just a few people. And then Chinese scientists ponder moon base inside of ancient lunar lava tube. Chinese researchers are investigating the feasibility of having astronauts construct a base inside of lava tubes under the lunar surface. An exciting prospect that could one day allow astronauts to establish a more permanent presence on the moon. Scientists have long suspected that our natural satellite is riddled with intricate systems of hollow tube-like tunnels. Oh my gosh, like cheese, like Swiss cheese, left behind by ancient lava currents. Watch, I wouldn't be surprised if they said in reality the moon is actually made of cheese. It says our evidence so far is still relatively limited, with NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter picturing hundreds of, quote, skylights per universe today, which scientists suspect were left behind after tunnel ceilings collapsed. But we have yet to get a firsthand look at these structures, if they exist, as we've been picturing them at all, that is. One thing that I wonder is, they say all of this exists, right? The moon is not that far away as far as it's visible, and it's so big and visible. We see that normal people with 10,000 zoom cameras can zoom right into it. Why? What is visible to us? We cannot, I don't believe you can see holes deep down into anything. And whatever is visible, so say if you could say that's 40% of the moon, or on a full moon where you can see a ton of the moon, right? You can see almost half of it. How can they not, with their advanced telescopes and huge, warehouse size telescopes, how far can they actually zoom in? And when you zoom in, it's kind of like if it was just a picture or like a JPEG or something. You zoom in, you just get gray. You might be able to get pebbles or whatever else, but why aren't we seeing more stuff that, if it's visible like that, why can't they zoom all the way in? If a camera can zoom in to where you can see really good quality to whatever's shown up there, why can't these crazy, why don't we see like a video from these crazy telescopes zooming all the way in and just keep going and be able to see any of this stuff they talk about? And what I'm specifically talking about is all the stories in the last couple months that they've talked about, not only with the tunnels, but they say that there's these naturally occurring structures and things. Are all of these on the far side of the moon where China has set up their setup? They actually landed a lander on the far side of the moon. This is why people have questions about the moon. This is why people have questions about the whole thing. It's like some of it just doesn't really make sense. But it says, but if they are there, international space agencies are intrigued. Once inside of a lava tube, astronauts could be sheltered not only from showers of micrometeorites, but also from the dangerous levels of radiation in the atmosphere less space rock is blasted with. So another question too, they did say about 2 years ago that the moon is inside the Earth's atmosphere. Don't know if you guys caught that, and that's probably news to you. You can look it up yourself. It's not in. There's not. You can't just walk around. There's oxygen or whatever, but they say that our atmosphere actually goes about 400 and something thousand miles out into space, and that the moon is about 200 and something thousand miles away. So there's actually oxygen particles around the moon, whatever else. When it first came out, many people didn't have to be a scientist to say, "Well, that sounds weird." And people were actually kind of pissed. They're like, "Well, they've been lying to us their whole time." But they say, "Oh, well, we just discovered it," or this and that. It's like I don't understand how, you know, if we have all of this stuff, the moon, out of all of the crazy stuff, I understand that we don't know much about Mars or Jupiter, all these places that are incredibly far away, but 200,000 miles away, 200 and something thousand miles away, regardless if it's in space or not, they're launching stuff up there all the time. They've launched cars. They've launched a Tesla farther than that. Why is there not more detailed video now that we're in the age of video technology, everything else? People go, well, yeah, there is. Yeah, there's plenty of video. There's even video of mice on these things and cockroaches crawling around on them and things. But what I'm saying is, why isn't there? You would think that we by now we would be able to have a video camera set up live streaming on the moon. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, why isn't there a live view of the Earth from the moon right now? If that's what I don't get. Um, they were able to supposedly do it back in the 60s back when in the days where the computer chip that they said was on the lunar lander, that same chip, that the whole thing was running on a chip, which now you can buy at any Safeway or any grocery store in a happy birthday card. When you open it up and it sings happy birthday, when that little trigger goes, happy birthday, that chip is as powerful as the computer on the lunar lander that landed on the moon so many decades ago. But yet now, especially since 2000, since 2010, this huge, huge evolution of technology and everything's gotten smaller. How is it not more affordable just for the moon, not the rest of it, unless they are already there, they've been there for a very long time, or they're lying about something, or it's not what it appears. What do you guys think? Let me know. What are your thoughts on this? Let's see here. We've got Truth Iris. It's all neato. MJ, NASA has been lying since their inception for deception. MJ, what's going on? Lady L. Coco Mojo says they lied. Now what? How did that happen? Let's see here. My daily driver has 229,000 miles. I have driven to the moon. Maui Racing Realtor. Yes, you have. Now you got to come on back. And then alien bases on the moon. Well, I mean, think about it. This all sounds kooky, right? But then you think about the fact that Congress and the actual government is the ones talking about we need a path to alien disclosure. It's like, look at if you think, because you used to think like all of this other stuff, the academia world and the government world, and that would all be professional and educated, and they all have Harvard degrees. Well, the politicians we know are groping each other in theaters and, doing all sorts of corrupt things, inside trading on disasters, all these horrible things. And then, of course, you've got academia talking about UFOs and aliens and things and multiverses. This is now accepted as normal. Yet they call us kooky for asking questions about the official narrative, even though in the last 30 years, history books have been turned on their head and they say almost everything has a different slant on it than what we thought. I don't get it. What do you think, Dex, as far as the moon and all of that jazz?
Anyway, it seems like we've spent a lot more time on and putting rovers and things on Mars than we have the moon. Now I know, I just looked it up. It was like we put 7 or so on. I think it was 7. Yes, 7 on the moon and 6 on Mars. But right now, there's only one that's still functioning on the moon, and guess who runs that one? China. So, yeah, it just seems like, we have not, for as much as we're talking about going there and for as close as it is, and for the fact that they say we've been there before, you would think that we do a lot more there. And as you said, taking pictures of it up close with anything that's launched, that's got, the Hubble, the Webb, any of those that have launched, why didn't they, on the way out the door, say, we're gonna give you the highest resolution so you can see the dust on the ground, on the moon, and map the whole thing real quick before we take off into the rest of their journey. So, yeah, a lot of questions there.
Quintress says, what about the Van Allen radiation belt? Thank you, Quintress. Again, that whole, the whole Van Allen radiation belt, you would think they would have technology that could get people past all that. But there's big questions about, like, how did they do that back in the day? Well, then also the other side of the argument, they say, well, if people do spend time in space, they've come back with their DNA changed, and their bone structure, their literal bone structure is different. All of this. As far as back in the day, if you believe now they can get there, but they couldn't back then it's like, what is this whole thing? As far as, but you would think that they would be able to, no matter what the radiation is, have some sort of system to be able to, to protect against it, especially now with today's technology and some of the materials that they found even the last, like, 6 years. They found new things that can protect against that kind of radiation. But who knows? I'm not an expert on that kind of stuff. If you guys want to chime in with your Van Allen belt theories, then go ahead. And then Sweatinum Ministries emailed you, Adam. Thanks to all you do and everything you all do. God bless. Thank you, Sweatinum. I appreciate that. And then Carol said, thank you for all the hours you and Dex put into all these shows to give us all of this info. Carol, thank you. And thank you guys for being here, and thank you for supporting independent. Lola Patton, thank you so much. Thank you for the super sticker. And then Quintress again, thank you. Sweatinum Ministries, Quintress, again, thank you. What is that? Halt Turner just released a very, very alarming article about Jinping's country. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but if you feel free to send it to me. Sometimes, yeah. And then Carol, lots of love here always. Thank you. And Nunya Business, thank you yesterday, and I believe I did miss you, along with Pam B. Love your informative shows. Thanks. Well, thank you. All right, and before we move on, just want to remind you guys, if coming up is October 4th, a lot of folks have been asking about how do you stop this whole thing from going through to your phone. There's an alert that's going to go to everybody. And of course, the last time we actually told you the same thing. If you do want to have your phone not get any signals during that day for October 4th, then you would definitely want to go check out the off-grid bags. These are essentially Faraday bags, and double as far as just protecting you from that day. That's one thing, but these actually protect your devices from everything other than that. One, you can't get hacked. Now they say that people can literally walk up behind you at a gas station and hack your information through some sort of wireless technology or RFID. But other than that, people cannot hack your stuff. They cannot get signals into your phone, out of your phone. There's nothing. There's also nothing that's going to be pinging your phone, tracking or tracing you. That's why people do the off-grid bags. Now, for the 4th, I know a lot of people are going to be putting their phones in it and leaving it for the day because they really, frankly, do not want anything to do with that alert. There's a reason for that. We talked about that over the last couple days. And again, you guys can believe what you want to believe, but people like Edward Snowden say that it's part of a bulk collection, that it's an upstream surveillance type thing. Again, that's all up to you. But the thing is it is a mandatory thing for the cell phones. Every cell phone in the United States is going to go off, just recently UK did the same thing. And it is something that you cannot opt out of. you are allowed to, you should be able to. You're paying for the cell phone. You bought it. It is your cell phone. You're able to throw it off of a cliff or off of a river. So if you don't want to get some alert, this is how you do it without throwing your phone off of a cliff. So you put your phone in this, it will not get any signals in or out. Now they have really cool ones. I really like the one with the window, which I still cannot find. I was using it every day. Now I use this one, but this one is really cool. And again, this is one of their most common bags, and it's really, really high quality. They use these for evidence bags. You can get backpacks that hold pretty much everything. As far as the backpack is one of the coolest things they have, that actually has a pocket for your cell phone, laptop, key fobs, tablets. It has actually, like, I believe 4, and then a hardened area for your sunglasses and everything else. So it is a really, really sweet bag. But as far as just the simple thing, I believe they start very inexpensive for just, like, say, the wallet or the unit that just holds your phone. I like the window one because you can actually still touch and use your touchscreen, but they have all sorts of different items over there. So go to marfugglenews.com/offgrid and make sure to use that code Marfoogle. That's, again, marfugglenews.com/offgrid, and use the code Marfoogle. All right, thank you guys. And again, that's our recommendation. If you want to get it by the 4th, you pretty much have to get it in the next couple days unless you pay for the one night shipping or whatever, but I doubt many people want to pay for that. So, and then scientists crack open lid of canister holding asteroid sample. So, Dex, do you want to cover this one? And this is, they say they got OSIRIS-REx and this thing from Bennu, and this whole thing is being done so they could potentially figure out how to stop asteroids in the future from hitting Earth and learn more about them. But they say they just got a sample back from Bennu. They can do that, but they can't put a live stream on the moon. Go ahead.
Exactly. You said it best. They've got a sample, or they claim to have a sample, and they've cracked it open. They've seen some dust in there, and now I guess they're going to analyze it, determine if it really is a sample from Bennu, and it was OSIRIS-REx's mission, launched 7 years ago,
They don't know.
to collect it. Yeah, so that, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe they've unleashed some new bacteria or some new virus onto our planet from somewhere else, that outside of our planetary system, and that could be something else that happens. But it is in a special place. I guess they had a special facility, a curation facility at Johnson Space Center in Houston. So if you live nearby, might want to see what comes of that.
I could just see, like, they have it at the office and they're about to do the press conference, and then one of the janitors or cleaning people go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I pledged it. It was very dusty." It's like, it's dust. They spent how many millions, if not $1 billion, on dust? Oh man. But I guess it's for science, right? Dust for science. We'll see. Here's the thing. There's not many times when they really just hold them to it, and in 1 year, 2 year, 5 years from now, say, okay, for the money that they spent landing on it, was there a genuine, what did that do? If they actually come up with a way to defend against asteroids, then yeah, I could see that as being a good use of money. But that's what makes me think that there is something going on with asteroids. They have all of these asteroid missions going on. They have OSIRIS-REx. OSIRIS-REx is actually now going to turn into OSIRIS-APEX. And APEX is going to land on Apophis. So as Apophis passes by in 2029, they are trying to land on it and do, I think, similar thing to what they did on Bennu. If I'm correct, yeah. And then they have DART, the double asteroid redirection test. They did that, which people are still following because they said that there's some strange things going on with it after it got hit. And they have the Hayabusa 2, all of these missions. And it just makes you wonder if there's something going on that we don't know, which brings us to Elon Musk, who is trying to terraform Mars and trying to get 1 million people by 2030 or whatever it is to Mars. It says Elon Musk's SpaceX wins Space Force contract as Democrat efforts fail to cancel him. It says Elon Musk's SpaceX has received its first official contract for the Starshield network. Starshield. Isn't that crazy? From the U.S. Space Force, this network will provide satellite communications for the military via the company's Starlink satellite internet system. And it comes just a week after Democrats, corporate media, and a former comedian turned UKR president, Vladimir Zelensky, attempted to cancel Musk after the Washington Post published excerpts from his new biography on the billionaire, alleging he rejected help from UKR to assist in the attack against the Crimean port of Sevastopol last year. Now, the media did mislabel that. They said that he essentially canceled it or stripped it out of their hands as they were in the middle of attack. He said that he never turned them on in the first place. He didn't turn them off when they were about to attack. He never turned them on in the first place because they said we're using it for an attack. That's at least what he said on Twitter. Space Force spokesperson Ann Stefanik told CNBC that the contract's term for Starshield is 1 year with a maximum value of $70 million. It is kind of crazy though, because, and this is why you could say that this is all a circus as far as the attacks on him, that they may be fake, because he's still getting all the contracts. He's still got Neuralink. He still has the Boring Company contracting with multiple states, including Democrat-run states. And then you have SpaceX, which is essentially doing a ton of everything that's going on above us, satellites and all of that. And I think I'm even missing one. And when Tesla is possibly working with the grid. If you didn't catch this about 6 or 8 months ago, probably, folks actually saw people with Tesla uniforms inside of power grid infrastructure, and they were setting up something which looked like a giant backup battery. So he might even be helping the grid with these kind of big, huge lithium backup batteries. So if the power goes down, they have these huge kind of power wall things to kind of be a backup. So he's tied into every part of infrastructure, every part of culture. And then imagine what the military is going to be doing once he gets these Tesla bots, actually up and running. Not to mention the AI stuff that he is starting out and he's doing. Dex, go ahead.
So I'm just kind of envisioning what this conversation is like. It's oh, we don't like him. We don't want to do that. But we need this communication system. And oh, by the way, he already has 5,000 small satellites in LEO, right? They're already up there. He's got the he was quick. He got it. He put it up there. It's not just him. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not just him. It's a huge team at this company called SpaceX. A lot of people that work there. They successfully did this, right? So what's your alternative? So if the DoD says we need this and we want to have it, who do they go to? Is NASA going to do it? How long would it take NASA to put 5,000 small satellites into space? We see how slow they move, right? And how ineffective they are. So where are they going to go? Blue Origin? Well, they don't have a huge success record, right? And who else could actually do this? And so on one hand, you kind of look at it and go, man, he's really got a monopoly almost on getting stuff into space. And then on the other hand, you sort of look at it and you go, yeah, well, they're not telling him no, but they don't like him. So what's going on here? But it's pretty amazing when you think about it. Like, he moved quickly. He's got it there. He's got so much there. Like, anybody that is looking for communication in space, it's already there. Like, why wouldn't you go talk to the guy who could do it? 'Cause it's going to take you 10 years, 20 years to try to achieve what he's done.
Yeah, as far as Leah, thank you for being here. Rip Curl Readiness, good point there. Thank you for being here as well. Thank you guys for modding. As you know, as far as Elon Musk, somebody Ann 411 said that Elon has his hands in everything, right? Well, if you look at what other countries are saying they're going to do, and I know a good chunk of people are not going to believe that this is happening, but I always leave my mind open if it is happening. China is saying that they're going to build a multi-mile structure in space. They already have their own space station. They're building they're building the largest air force. They want to surpass us. They've already built the largest navy. They're doing all of these things. So some look at this and they go, well, Elon is trying to combat that. Well, Elon also has his second largest customer in China. So it's like it's hard to trust somebody who says all the right things, but then does something that totally circumvents that. He actually just posted something about how all of the platforms, all of the platforms based on pro Kremlin accounts, and that's what they call them, right? Essentially, that Twitter has the very lowest, right? That the amount of subscribers. So how they look at it is, if you're a pro Kremlin account on these platforms, then you will get very little. You'll get very little pull. You'll get no subscribers. Basically, they're not helping and they're actually holding you back if you are that, right? As far as YouTube, they said is really good up there. Telegram and something else, but Facebook and this and Twitter are super super low, right? And for somebody who says free, is all about the free speech, about all of this stuff, at the same time, what is considered that pro Kremlin, right? Is pro Kremlin, is that anti US? Because you I've noticed that you don't have to say anything positive about Russia, but somebody will say, "Oh, you're standing up for this, or you're carrying Putin's water, or whatever." There should be a difference from calling out the US's corruption and supporting who they are doing the corruption against, right? Don't you guys think so? Like I don't understand that. And as far as all of these contracts that are going on, I think it's kind of crazy. He has it with both sides. Um, Elon, if you ever do watch a show, because I know you're an end of the worlder, my question would be like, how are you saying all the right things on all of these other subjects, and then how do you judge who is pro Krem or who is what filter words and all of this? You say just the same day said that you were going to shorten all of the list of demonetized words on Twitter and things. But then you post something like that shows that, these things like hate speech, we don't know who declares what that is. And that's what bothers me about some of the most powerful people in the world are helping this kind of get moved along to where we won't be able to speak our ideas. We won't be able to go against whatever narrative is out there. And if you can't do that, think about if they couldn't do that in the 40s. Think about if they couldn't do that prior. Because I'm sure the folks that lived in Germany, they were just following orders, right? Well, sometimes following orders and going with the flow is actually extremely evil. So, with the whole contracts thing, I think that the sky is going to be controlled by Elon. So I guess my thing is, you better hope Elon is good inside, and that he's got a good heart, and he's got good intentions, because he will own the sky very soon. If he doesn't, Xi will, because those are the two countries that are really going to be pushing all of this really really far. So I guess you better hope when Elon owns the sky and owns all of these contracts, no matter what happens to him, he still gets these contracts because he has the best space company. You better hope he's good. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And then Dex, do you want to talk about the terrifying video?
So apparently, there's a company that's tracking and put together a map of like all these Starlinks, and part of what they're saying, and I guess it's in the tweet. If you want to pull that up too, it goes with this. I don't think it shows in the article. It may be on the next tab. But what they're trying to get at is, hey, there's going to be so many, and we've seen this from others. Going to be so many of these Starlinks in the sky. They're going to actually outnumber the visible stars. Is one comment. Another comment is how much they're going to not the risk of collision is going to go up. And when you think about it, yeah, there's a lot of space up there. Even if you come down here, there's a lot of space when you put that many things in the sky. We've got planes everywhere. We've got thousands of them everywhere up at any given time. But when you start to get to these higher numbers and multiple players and crossing boundaries, there's a lot of questions as to what's really going to happen when all of this gets up there. So, anyway, this and I'm sorry if the tweet didn't load. I may have messed that up. But
No, I got it. It's here.
you got it. Okay, cool. So, but that kind of this company, and I think they make modeling software or something to track different things. But that tweet that they put up with the sort of a video of data is showing this visualization that we're talking about here. So they've got their opinion on it, specifically about how too many objects are going to be up there. But this visualization that they have here about all of the objects in motion, it's pretty, eye-opening when you sort of think about it or you look at it from that perspective. So
Weird. On one of them, you can see the lines of right here, down right by where the green. Oh, I guess there's several green lines. Oh, I guess the green lines are those trains of Starlink as well. But
yeah, they're getting ready to go into position. Those are probably launches.
Oh, crazy. So, and then you can see the ones that are already in position, and then they kind of space out. So that's like real time. The ones that are still in the line that are already launched that are orange, those have been launched. They're already at position, and then what they do is they spread out. From my understanding, isn't that right, Dex? They will slowly find their own position. They slowly
Yes.
separate.
Yeah, they start in the line and then they just start drifting off from that, I believe.
Now, I've also had a back thought, and there were some pieces of information that kind of back this up. I mean, obviously, so they say like 1 in 3 or 1 out of 4 of these. I don't know if is this all Starlink or is this just everything in space? Do we know?
I think this was a Starlink. I'd have to look at the description on the tweet
That
again,
looks
but
like
I'm pretty sure it was
5,000.
just a Starlink.
So if this is just Starlink, think about this, and this is supposedly the Earth spread out, right? So this basically they're everywhere right now. That they say 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 4 will be a hypersonic detector, a hypersonic object detector. So some believe that they are actually making a grid around Earth for planetary defense, but they're not telling us. What do you think? What do you guys think about that? And they said publicly that yes, there's going to be hypersonic speed detectors, and this was around the same couple years that everybody's talking about hypersonic missiles. So it will be a defense platform for for hypersonic missiles and nukes and things like that, right? Well, what if it's something that's trying to find hypersonic objects outside of Earth, trying to detect, say, asteroid or something? Make a grid around the Earth. There's also scientists that said theoretically, if you had enough of these around Earth, you could create whole other systems entirely. Like you could create, or say, if our magnetic field goes down, that they could technically create some sort of magnetic field around us if they had enough of these around our planet. Could it be because they know that something's going to happen, things are going to flip, whatever else? Some folks have that, but then again, if you if that's totally unreal, then let me know why. I would love to know. Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, and I just want to say this tweet from this company, Fight Club, it's on our website. So I would recommend if you want to see more, because they've got a lot of other images they've done, a lot of other stuff they've done. I'm not trying to promote them, but it's for the fact that they've put it out there. It's pretty cool to go look at. So, follow from that tweet. You can start digging in more other stuff they've put up about these satellite images and how they've been mapped. Not images, but these mappings and these animations. It's pretty cool.
Think about if these have cameras. If these were equipped with a camera system or detector, like that's crazy. They could end up putting them on all the future ones. I mean, you could have real time monitoring of the entire planet. It's pretty trippy. Yeah, isn't that just wild? And it does make sense when you look up in the sky. Every time I look up in the sky, if there's actually visible nighttime sky, because I live near a city, every second I look up, I see one. I mean, it doesn't matter where I look. if I sit there for 1 second, I'll find one that's going by. When I was a kid, it was a rare thing to see a satellite. And when you saw it, you knew it. It looked like a star, but it was moving at this exact pace. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are looking up every time you're going outside. It's really really interesting. All right, and then before we move on, speaking of which, that's just Starlink. We do know though other countries have nasty satellites that actually could deliver things like an EMP. This is something we've talked about for years. This is one of the largest threats to the United States and to actually to Europe. So if you're in either one of those places, I would highly recommend going and getting yourself an EMP shield. This is a device that can be easily wired into your car, your truck, your ATVs, your boats, even your generators or your house or your mobile home. This can be wired in and it will actually protect you against all three phases of an EMP, multiple EMP strikes, and or a solar event. If we have a Carrington level event that could knock down our grid, this will keep you going. This will actually ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it is able to fry your car, your generator, your house, your home, whatever you have this on, so you can get home to bug in or you can get out to bug out. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Again, this works against a Carrington level event. So that is something that you don't have to theorize or be kooky to believe. They believe, they say that this is going to happen. It's not an when. It's not an if. It's a when, and there will be one. It's just a matter of if our grid and the world's grids are technologically advanced enough to withstand it by the time it happens. Right now, we are so vulnerable that if they knock down our grid, 90% of us would perish here in the United States because they say that we would have infrastructure go down. They are completely dependent on electricity. And if we lose our grid, we lose everything. So if you want to protect yourself, no one's going to do it for you. The government's not going to subsidize and come in and help you with this. You've got to do it yourself. marfooglenews.com/EMP. You'll get $50 off with our code, and you'll be helping us at the same time. We are independent. We cover controversial subjects, so it is a very big help if you guys do any kind of sharing our stuff out. Of course, support our affiliates. Any of that is appreciated. So thank you. All right, and then Dex, why don't you go over the new Netflix series explores reported UFO encounters?
Well, and as the title continues to say, it couldn't come at a better time. And it's interesting because they're coming at this from a point of, well, a lot of people are talking about um, you know, sightings and seeing things, but actually a lot of people have talked about that for years and they've sort of been shunned or called quacks or people just don't necessarily want to give it the time of day. But now, as we've seen over the last 2 years, there's like this whole big push towards this notion of UFOs and potential extraterrestrials or aliens. And I know a lot of people want to call it a a reveal or a disclosure. And I know a lot of people want to call it a disguise or a distraction, and it could be all of the above. Like none of us really know. We all have our beliefs, and that's fine. But at the same time, given the fact that, again, we keep getting bombarded in the media now with this whole notion of UFOs, now we've got it from the not just the Hollywood angle where it's fascinating, like Independence Day, but this is, Spielberg's Amblin Television in conjunction with Netflix releasing a documentary and a four-part mini documentary trying to cover actual events that have happened. And it's a 2008 lights in the sky from Texas, the Cold War era submersible craft lurking near the coastal Welsh village, non-human intelligence reportedly interfering in 2011 with the operations of the nuclear power plant in Japan, and an alien encounter in 1994 experienced by school children in Zimbabwe. So I don't know why they chose those because there's probably thousands of other examples they could use, and they've got a mixture of, I guess, scientists as well as in the individuals that encountered these and their experiences. But I just question the timing. I know we question it with every article about UFOs now because it just seems like they're pushing this narrative about what some would call disclosure, and I know many of us may think it's a distraction too.
Exactly. And it will come, they'll all, everything alien UFO usually comes along at the same time as something they really don't want you to watch. Kathy Piana, I believe you were talking about the EMP shield, says these don't make sense because they won't be able to connect with your smart meter from burning your house down. So the EMP shield actually does protect against smart meter fires. Their official testing says electrical surges move along your household wiring very quickly. However, EMP shield is capable of shunting away over voltage before the energy can move farther than 12 inches from your breaker panel, and will also prevent smart meter fires in home applications. So if you get the home version, it does. You just have to make sure you do it right. Otherwise, though, the home version, really, a lot of folks get that because they want to protect the, dozens and dozens of things that are plugged in. All of those things will be plugged in. People go, well, what if the grid doesn't come on for 2 years? That's true, but that's why all of the stuff that's plugged in to the home version, all of those things will not be fried. And then most preppers have a backup generator or multiple backup generators. So then they plug in all of the things that were plugged in their house that's not burnt. They plug those into the generator or solar generators and keep them going. If not, when the power does get restored, say it takes a month to 18 months, all of your stuff is not fried. The level of stuff that will happen if we have an EMP hit the whole, if we have an EMP hit the whole country and everything's down, they say it could take anywhere from 12 to 18 to 24 months to fix, and it will be hell on earth. But the thing is if that happens, that means all of the appliances, everything, anywhere, including in factories, everything will be fried. So it's not like with all of the other chaos going, you're not going to be able to just spend the normal, say you need a refrigerator for $600 normally. A refrigerator after an EMP, if you want to get one that works, we're going to be in a different world at that point. A refrigerator might cost $10,000 or something because things that work are going to be, a super valuable thing. So having that, even when the power does get turned back on and having it not fried, that's going to be one of the most invaluable things ever. Dex, go ahead.
The simple math on that for me is I can imagine, and this is probably the case with everybody, go open your fridge and freezer. I guarantee you got more money in food in there than you have in buying an EMP shield. And if you can run that for a day or two off your generator, even after an EMP, what's the value of having that food? It's worth a lot. It's probably worth a lot more when you can't even get anything, because then you're gonna have to go start eating your dry rations. So why wouldn't you want to eat that food if you can sustain it for a few days or even a week? What's the cost of that insurance, as you like to refer to it as? It's not that much. Same thing with a car. Like, what's the cost for me knowing that my wife can get home if she happens to be, 7 miles down the street at the grocery store? I'd pay anything for that if an EMP happened. I don't need the car to run for a year after that. I just need her to get home. And if that is what happens, then worth every penny.
Also, if you had a bug out, if you have a bug, 'cause we gotta do a show about this, because if you didn't know this, if you're new to this, of course we talk about news, but all of us in this community are in our own ways preppers, different levels of preppers, and we actually talk about this kind of stuff. Like what is your backup plan? How are you going to meet up with family? If you work 30 miles away from home and an EMP or even a solar event happens, which we're heading into 2025, which is also predicted to be possibly the most unpredictable solar cycle in history, or at least in modern history, then how are you going to get home? How are you, if you're 30, 40 miles, which most people live very far from work now, especially with the rent and everything else that's gone up here, at least. Most people that work in Seattle, because of rent, is $2,000 on a studio apartment. People are living 60, 70, 80, 100 miles away from where they work. They will spend 2.5 hours, 3 hours driving every single morning to work. If that's the case, I can only imagine everybody gets knocked out. You have one of the only working cars. Then it goes to like, oh, well, if you have the only working car, people are going to try to rob you. People are going to, people might be stuck on the freeways. This is why I say it's for people to think of a backup, like having an electric scooter or electric or a gas powered scooter that can fit in your trunk or in the back of your car. If you get stuck in the freeway because all the other cars are going to be dead, then how are you going to drive, even if you have a working car? That's where you pop out a gas powered scooter or have a motorcycle somewhere or something. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ifs, but I think that, something like that can protect you. It's like, it's something you won't need until you need. And especially in the Midwest, like Dex said, if you have your house hit by lightning, one, if you don't have a fire, that's great, which it will prevent. And two, if it strikes your house and your fridge survives through that, then you've already paid for the EMP shield right there. All right, and the more people that have stuff like that, the better off we'll all be. Like, in other countries, people push each other. Local grocery stores do trainings for disasters and things like this. They encourage people to have prep. Here, it's looked at because I think it's CIA that has pushed preppers to be the loony bins. They say you're loony or that you are some sort of domestic, what, and that's why people are, think that preppers are weird. But prepper, in a sense, is having insurance on food, water, and your life, right? Just like you have insurance on your car in case you get in an accident, you have insurance on your house in case an accident happens to your house. Why don't you have food insurance? Why don't you have prep? Why don't you have things lying around for the unexpected? The unexpected is exactly that. It's not going to happen when you think it's going to happen. Which we're going to be doing a video right after this over on news about new earthquake information. So make sure to join us after this. But literally the title is going to be, you will have no warning, none whatsoever. Russia blamed Western intel and spy planes for Ukraine's devastating attack on its Black Sea Fleet headquarters. So this is exactly what we said was going to happen. Not because we have a crystal ball. It's super predictable, like a bad B movie where they run up the stairs instead of out the front door. This is obvious. If our infrastructure and the stuff that we did, and even our intel and our satellites and our information directly had something to do with their Black Sea Fleet headquarters, then we are directly responsible for that. And most people are going to argue, even in our eyes, that's pretty much true, right? You don't have to be pro-Russian to see that. Like, it's many people can cheer that on, say heck yeah, but what you can see is that means that we might be liable and that they might try to attack us back. Dex, if our intel, and if they do know that if it was our intel that hit their Black Sea Fleet headquarters, they could try to retaliate, or they could retaliate cyber event, something like that. And who knows, they might not tell us that that's it. Maybe we'll have something big happen in the next couple weeks and they'll say it's a glitch, or nationwide grounding will happen again. And they'll say, oh, it was just a technicality, or something went wrong with our customer service program or something.
We've used the term normalization as it relates to China and Taiwan, and China normalizing the presence of their incursions across the line and all that. Well, what we're seeing here is almost a normalization of the West playing through UKR and striking deep into Russia. And when I say deep, I mean into Crimea. I mean up into the planes that were hit on the airfields. And so it really comes down to this. And the way I sort of think of it is, you have to ask yourself: is Putin going to retreat? Is he going to back down? Is he going to say, you know what, I'm done. We're not going to get what we want. We're just going to go home, pack up our toys. You guys all be fine, and we're just going to do that. I don't think that's going to happen. That's not his nature. It's not their country's nature. They set out to to start something. And I even think what they said they wanted to do, in my opinion, isn't really what they want. They want something greater. He's backed into a corner. At this point, this is no longer really about UKR. This is about NATO. This is about the West and Russia. And at some point, it will change. And that point could be this, it could be tomorrow. I doubt, unless we all think this is just one giant stage and it's orchestrated between them all and they're just playing the population. That's another theory that's out there. But put that one aside and just go back to, standard conflict between the West or NATO and Russia. It's escalating to that. He's either going to go home or it's going to go to full on conflict. And there's nothing else happening because this event there's no major gains happening on either side, yet Russia is constantly getting hit inside their homeland. They're getting hit left and right, and they're not going to stand for it. They're either going to end it or they're going to escalate it. And I don't see them packing up their toys and going home. That's just my opinion.
And this is an important quote here. This is from Russia. There is no doubt that the attack had been planned in advance using Western intelligence means, NATO satellite assets, and reconnaissance planes, and was implemented upon the advice of American and British security agencies and in close coordination with them. That was Zakharova. And again, that if they're having meetings right now saying the U.S. just did this, the U.S. was directly responsible for this. This is what we've all, myself and many others, especially a lot of folks in our military audience, we know this is happening. Like, we don't doubt anymore. I don't doubt we are going into World War III. I believe it's already started. I don't think it's the end of the world. I have to say that repeatedly because new people go, oh, you think it's the end of the world? It's not. It's going to be the start of a new one. The whole planet is being reset right now. And this is all par for the course. Like, this is happening right now. I guess my message, people don't have to believe me. People don't have to watch. People don't have to agree with me. But I don't know how I would feel in 5 years from now if I didn't tell people what I thought about this. And I didn't. For a long time, I was afraid of being called a fearmonger. I didn't want people to say that. But then I really stopped caring. It's like, at this point, we're heading into World War III. There's going to be some sort of big event, in my opinion. There's going to be some sort of Pearl Harbor that gets the U.S. involved. And then we're going to go to war. In my opinion, there will be a draft. And the world is already divided into two sides. And there's going to be a war. There's going to be cyber events. There's going to be cyber hacks. There's going to be EMP or EMP attempts. And that there's going to be a whole change of power. And all of the people at the very top, they will be safe through all of it. That's the thing. That's why people prep, is because even if it's an unexpected or even if it's a 1% chance that it's going to happen, where do you want to be if that 1% event happens? And then if you also look at all of the things that are lining up with 2024, 2026, 2030, it's like in the next 6 years, we have all of these separate events. It's like the coincidences are crazy. All of these different things line up. This war, the solar cycles that are going on that scientists have been looking at and pointing out for years, that this is all lining up. Biblical prophecy, if you're into that, you're not going to be happy about that either, because all of these events are happening too, like the snake coming out of the wall, the temple, the red calf being born. It's like, no matter where you look, it looks like something's going to happen. Whether you are on the conservative side, like, oh, I'm very skeptical, you will still see a financial collapse. If you're on the crazy end, you're like, we're going to get invaded by aliens. Even if you're on the like, I don't know, well, we're going to get a tsunami in the West Coast that's going to wipe us out. That's already overdue. They know it. They've said it. And again, I know for a fact, I will put everything on it that the West Coast earthquake will happen before long, and people are going to be still caught off guard, even though they've warned for years. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Dex, go ahead.
I just wanted to add, like, every time we hear someone in the audience say they started prepping because of the community, and I don't want to just say us, but the entire community that is made up of all of us that talk about these subjects, that's another life that is potentially saved. And that's what's good about this, is that people are taking it seriously and thinking about how they can become self-sufficient in a horrible bad time when that may come.
And if you've been here a long time, you know, before CV, before 2019, we saw all of these crazy, crazy signs come out of nowhere. They were training for a demic. They were training for all of this. There were documents. They started ordering things. We looked at this is why it's good for us to cover the documents, the patents. All of these things show what's most probable in the future. Right now, New York is doing drills for asteroids, wildly enough. They're doing drills in the subways with they're releasing stuff in the subways and then looking at how it spreads through the subway. I mean, like the weirdest drills, right? You see these drills. Well, back in 2018 and 2019, we saw all of these drills very specific to the event that has already happened that we got put at home for, right? We saw that. We told people we have proof of it. You can go back through our thumbnails. It says Demic is coming soon. Demic, they're practicing and going for a worldwide Demic. And it wasn't just us. It was everybody. It was Survival Lily. It was CP. It was all sorts of other creators saw these same things. And this whole community talked about it. And then when it happened, so many thank you notes came in because people had supplies when everybody else was sitting in line for 5 hours at Costco. If you go back, it's going to freak you out because it wasn't we didn't have a crystal ball. We had you guys. The community is constantly questioning everything and constantly pulling out little tiny articles from everywhere. The community, there's you know how they say two heads is better than one? We have thousands. Same with all of these other larger channels. We have thousands of people picking through and going, wait, that doesn't look right. And then when you see that, you go, oh, there's a pattern. When you see the patterns, when you start seeing it, it's like in the Matrix when the green text is coming down and he starts seeing the images in the green text. That's how it feels. We can see the future because guess what? The future is planned by human beings and human beings are stupid. So they're sloppy. They leave signs everywhere to the point where it's almost like, why do they leave so many signs? And then you get into the whole, like, did they warn us? I just saw something on Twitter about the Proveny of Jove or whatever. Never heard of it. I don't know much. I just saw one video talking about it on Twitter. And they say it's a group of elites that know what's going to happen. They know the disasters that are going to happen and that they're very rich and influential and they warn us through Hollywood videos and movies and things like this because and they believe in the highest IQ people. The highest IQ people will see the signs and the lowest IQ people will not. And they warn us about what's going to happen. I thought it was at least at the very interesting and definitely entertaining, but it just sometimes it makes you wonder with all the crazy things that are going on right now and all of the crazy things they have now said are facts. It's like, I wouldn't be surprised by anything. And as Russia's war in UKR drags on, Kiev's neighbors are loading up on new high-tech military gear. Dex, do you want to go over this real quick? I actually need to step
So
away for 1 second.
Yeah, so it appears that, and some of this we've covered, but it appears that Poland and Romania are basically on a spending spree. This article basically outlines what they've bought and what they've been spending their money on. But I think the really important part, there's two parts here. One, Poland is obviously has sent a lot of gear into UKR, making room for them to spend more and buy more. And then we just covered that huge multi-billion-dollar loan that we're going to give them so that they can buy more gear. But the point here is these countries don't just buy equipment to let it mothball. They buy equipment because they know something's coming, and they're investing heavily because they are NATO countries. They're investing heavily because they are on the border, Romania being right up against UKR, Poland also there. And they are spending a ton of money and bringing in a lot of gear. Why are they doing that? That's the real question. And I think the obvious thing that we can see is they're gearing up, just like they geared up with the anti-tank uh, devices that are placed along the borders, just like they're gearing up with trenches. They would dug trenches a long time ago in Romania to prepare because they thought they were going to be coming through UKR, and that very well could happen. And we're seeing that this massive buildup along that wall, not just in forces, but now also in spending to bring in high end HIMARS, all sorts of everything from Patriot missile systems, all of that. It's been sort of uncovered as they're sort of looking through these transfers and the documentations on disclosed transfers that have been going. That's how they're able to see what they're amassing and that they're spending and buying from the U.S. and others.
Thank you, Dex. And let's see here. And by the way, at U.S. Antarctic base hit by harassment claims, workers are banned from buying alcohol at bars. This is out of the AP. It says New Zealand. From Sunday, workers at the main United States base in Antarctica will no longer be able to walk into a bar and order a beer. Sounds like the intro to a joke, right? After the federal agency that oversees the research program decided to stop serving alcohol. McMurdo Station, no joke, McMurdo. It sounds like a nickname for like Gary Ridgway or something. McMurdo Station will not be going entirely dry. The National Science Foundation confirmed researchers and support staff will still be able to buy a weekly ration of alcohol from the station store. Now, I don't drink anymore, but I couldn't imagine living in a cold Antarctic area like that with nothing around. And I guess being in an area like that, you would probably want to have some sort of nice, warm, fuzzy drink. It says, but the policy shift could prove significant because the bars have been central to social life in the isolated environment. I would assume that up there, that's all there is to do. So this is probably going to cause some pretty pissed off people. It says the changes come as concerns grow that sexual misconduct has been allowed to flourish at McMurdo. An investigation by the Associated Press last month uncovered a pattern of women who said that their claims of harassment or assault were minimized by their employers, often leading them to or others being put in further danger. It says in some cases outlined by the AP, alcohol played a role, but the NSF told the AP that changes involving alcohol were related to morale and welfare at the base and were not aimed at preventing sexual harassment or assault. Under the new rules taking effect Sunday, workers will be able to order only alcohol-free drinks at McMurdo's two main bars, Southern Exposure and Gallagher's. They will still be able to bring their own alcohol to drink at the bars, which is just absolutely weird. A third venue, which has also served alcohol, a coffee house, will become entirely alcohol-free, but will now stay open for workers to visit any time of the night or day. Dex, that's so weird. And the current alcohol ration allows Antarctic workers to buy up to the equivalent of 18 beers each week, or 3 bottles of wine, or a 750 milliliter bottle of spirits. That's
okay. That's enough.
Wait, what?
I said that's got to be enough. I mean, what do you work during the week and you drink 3 bottles of wine on the weekend? I mean, how much more do you possibly need?
Dex,
I mean,
I'm sorry,
I mean,
but
that's a lot. I can't drink that much.
18.
I never drink that much.
I know, but that's a week. There's a lot of people that could drink that in a day.
Oh yeah, I'm sure, but I'm just thinking to myself, man, I've never had that. I mean, I've had maybe a beer a night, a couple nights a week, and I currently drink. I don't drink a lot, but I'm just thinking, man, if the weekend is your relaxed time, 3 bottles of wine is more.
I guess that's
enough,
perspective.
I guess it is. I guess it really is.
I come from a family of
different people.
alcoholics where, like, the box wines, my mom would drink a whole box. Like, I we had a lot of alkies in our family, so 18 beers was like a Saturday. uh, so we're in college, like 18 beers was like, oh well, there's two of us here. But man, but 3 bottles of wine, that again, like yeah, the one thing
Well, that's an or too. That's not and, right? You
yeah,
can't
no,
have
no, that's
18
an
beers
or.
and 3 bottles. So it's or. So it's, yeah, it is less, but still, I don't know. For me, yes, I'm sure there's plenty of people. I know plenty of friends that can drink a heck of a lot more than me.
Well,
But
and I
yeah.
guess is it 18 Bud Lights or is it 18 IPAs or something? If it's like a 10% IPA, then yeah, but if it's 18 Bud Lights, then I bet there's going to be some protests. Who knows?
I guarantee you they're all going to be looking for the IPAs.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Does it matter what the content of it is? Because man, some of those IPAs are like crazy like there's a local brand that was called Jolly Rogers here, and that thing was like one beer was like 13-14%, and one of them it would be all you need for the whole day. It was insanity. 25-ounce bottle of spirit. Isn't that the little bottle? 750 milliliters. Isn't that the what is that? Is that a pint? That's I don't think
Yeah,
that's
I think
much.
it's like isn't that equivalent to like a wine bottle size? It's not a big fatty. It's like you know,
No, it's like a what
the,
is that? Because this is a 16 ounce, 25 ounce. That's 24 ounce. That's like a big soda. That's like a Gatorade size bottle. Anyways,
yeah, 25 ounces, 25.3 ounces, 750 milliliters.
what do they call those? There's that's not a half gallon. That's a whatever it is. That's a liter, right? Anyways, NSF said that it's also instituting several new measures during the current Southern Hemisphere spring and upcoming summer that are aimed at preventing sexual harassment and assault at the base. It's crazy that there might be that much. 70% of the workers are men. These include enhanced training, a new survey to collect data and monitor trends. The thing is, I bet this does happen. I bet that up there it's isolated, and I bet you those dudes are doing nasty stuff. And uh, but instead of cutting the alcohol, maybe put whoever's doing it in jail. I don't know. Just a thought. All right, quickly, just want to remind you, make sure to go over and check out Energy. You can get one of the best solar generators on the market, one that's expandable, one that can be modded, and that you can build over time. They work like Lego. It is absolutely silent, so nobody's going to hear it from 3 blocks away. And you won't have to deal with gas stations if everything does hit the fan. Good luck even getting gas, but let alone you won't have to store fuel. You'll just need some solar panels. Definitely recommend their folding panels that are portable. You can literally take this and whatever panels you have and get out the door. Marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY, and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. And then homes unaffordable in 99% of the nation for the average American. Yeah, this is this is absolutely true. I mean, what's crazy though, I can't believe that 99%. Dex, could you? I mean, like, when you saw 99%, that's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, and I'm wondering where they get the 99%. I'm sure it is probably the number of houses, because when you think of density, maybe in your city or in my city, there's a lot of density, so there's a whole lot of houses, and those are going to be really expensive. Whereas, you get out into the boonies, maybe a lot cheaper, or Appalachia or places like that, right? You can get by with a lot less, but obviously there's less housing out in those locations. So it's got to be a number like that as opposed to just 99% of a map. Like take a map and draw it, and there's nowhere to live but 1%. I think it's more along the lines of the number of houses, but still, it doesn't matter. That number, I think everybody here, and I keep saying that, and I guess I'm wrong, but I think everybody here feels this. Like we see it. If you don't feel it because you've been in your home for a long time and you're fortunate, that's great. But you probably know somebody next to you or around you that has tried to go find a house for rent or has tried to buy a house because they wanted to buy one for the first time, or they tried to move and they needed to buy a house. It's everything is just so expensive. The housing market is unbelievably high, and it doesn't even make sense. It would make sense if you thought that, you know, expensive homes in one area sort of migrated to another area and it caused a, a balancing of home prices because money moved from one place to another. But it just seems like every place all went up. And I know what it is. It's all the Wall Street money that came in and started buying up all the properties. But yeah, this is not a good place for us to be in from a housing point of view for the middle class and the common person and anybody below. Like the upper class, they're fine, but everybody in the middle and below, we're screwed. It's expensive.
Yeah, for my generation, let alone my kids, how are my kids going to get into a house? You better hope that you have absolutely perfect credit. If any of you are in the same kind of department of not having perfect credit, or you screwed things up when you were young, it's impossible. And even if you have perfect credit, then you're going to get a 30-year loan. You're going to have some crazy amount. And now with the prices they are, it's literally impossible. I mean, you have to move somewhere way far, way far out. And you better hope that you have a job where you can work 3 hours out of the city. Now, that was funny. Sheldon Bosch. Those were two comments right next to each other, totally unrelated. Joda, says, the last time I drank was one beer 13 years ago with my uncle. And like, not a second later, Sheldon Bosch says, I didn't drink for 12 years. Then I turned 13. That one got me. That was good. Let's see here. Bison American Club is in the house. We've got Adam Tessaro. I think I said that right. Let's see here. Briar Patch is in the house. Thank you for being a member. Just in time. Lord Andrew, Captain Apana, Truth Iris. We've got Dave, Rashid, Niall Adamson. I saw Hashim in here earlier. Thank you. Baron Saturday and Typical English Guy. Thank you, and thank you. Bobby Birch says 18 beers is a lifetime supply for me. Somebody could have mine. 24 ounces equals 3 cups. Sounds like a regular sized bottle of wine. That was the hard liquor, but yeah. Let's see here. And then Dex said, yeah, Dex is a lightweight compared to most. Let's see here. Rashid says, any news in 1, 4, or 11th of October? Well, the 4th is going to be that alert. And that alert, it's up to you. We showed you the information. My personal thought is I believe there probably is something there. I think that Edward Snowden, you could think he's a traitor or a hero, whichever way you think. He busted out stuff that nobody would have ever thought was real until he showed absolute proof. And even if you thought it, you would have been a conspiracy theorist until he actually showed the receipts. Once he did, you realize, oh my gosh, they're actually listening and tracking us and tracing us and all of that. And the information that came out was beyond disturbing. You can only imagine now, fast forward a whole decade, how far do you think they are now? It makes sense. What if they're not constantly listening, but what if they do a once a year grab and now they have computers that can sift through that and go through a whole year of data just like that? I don't know. Just a thought. Probably wouldn't work. There's probably some reason that somebody they couldn't do that because there's limits on this or that. I don't know. But again, crazy stuff. All right. And, yeah, again, I would highly recommend if you have time. They're not expensive either. Go get yourself one of those off grids, because out of all of the affiliates, these are really cheap to get into, and you can use it every day. You don't have to just use it for the 4th. All right, Dex, let's go over the web only. We've got a lot of crazy stuff here, and before you do that, I did want to thank again Quintras. Thank you. And Mystery School, thank you, and thank you. It says Infinite True Man's Skynet. My apologies for Parable. Will call in tomorrow. And X Plain, much love. Stay positive, stay safe. My Fooglers rule. Love y'all. Well, thank you. And Quintress, I've an HCVP voucher. I need to move. Any ideas? HCVP voucher. I need to move. Dex, can you look up what is that housing something? What is an HCVP voucher? Is that like an income type thing or?
The Housing Choice Voucher Program, formerly known as Section 8, is a
Oh,
tenant-based rental assistance program. I guess they
yeah.
changed the name of that.
Because
HCV.
Section 8 has such a bad. My mom was Section 8. It's so crazy. Like Section 8, it was Section 8, and people still call it Section 8. That's I hear that's how they describe a certain thing, right? Yeah, actually, several family members that are Section 8 or whatever now they call it HCVP. Well, where do you live? What country? Or I mean, what state? I would say don't go West Coast. Don't go East Coast. Don't go coast. All right. Dex, let's go over the web only. And thank you, Schaefer Girl. I saw that last minute. Thank you for the super sticker. Appreciate that. Thank you. Dex, lots of
All
stuff.
right, let's head over. There is. Head over to marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show, or hit that show notes link down below in the description. It'll take you right here to this web page with all the news and information and tweets and everything that we've talked about. If you're looking for it, it's there. Scroll down a little more, you'll find the overflow right where the Resvani tank is. Make sure you enter if you want to win. Don't enter, you can't win. But if you want a survival tank, that's the way to get it. It's for free. So link is still there. We put it out there for you. It's through My Patriot Supply of our affiliates. Hey, some interesting stuff going on. We did post the Elon live at the border at Eagle Pass. I think this is the edited one because he actually went live twice. Excuse me, he went live twice because the first time he sort of messed it up. I don't know if he did, but he didn't think he was live, but he was, and he started thumbing the screen, and then it went away. But some say it may have overloaded the Twitter system. So that is it. The one thing I will say, if you want to look at it, one other thing you can look at, he does wear a cowboy hat in there, and the critics of Elon, which there are many who love to point things out, are trying to say that he's wearing it backwards. Do you think his cowboy hat is on backwards? I mean, the guy lives in Texas. I think he knows how to put a hat on. I just think it's the style. But take a look, see if he's actually wearing it backwards. We do have all of the political coverage in here from especially coming out of the debate last night. So there's some updates there. Of course, the T-Man saga is focused right now on New York and the potential dismembering of his entire, not membering, but dismantling of his entire business, which could include his towers and all that. So that with the fraud case, kind of crazy. So if you're interested in seeing what's happening there, we've got some coverage, of course, both sides, but most of the coverage these days is pretty negative with him. And aside from what he has to say about it, Bankman-Fried in the news because of what the judge is talking about him, and his trial is starting. So you'll probably see much more of that. We'd also have the updates, a little bit of updates from other people like Gilly Bates, as well as additional stuff with Elon because they go after him all the time. That's something he said in a Twitter space. Then we move into some of the stuff happening with Russia and UKR. So a lot of different tactics that are happening, a little gaining here, different changes there, what Russia's doing here, what UKR is doing there. It's all, get the salt shakers out before you start reading this stuff. But definitely the coverage is there if you're looking for some of the minutia that's happening over there and want to see some of it. All of the little things are there as well. So that and so much more, including some updates with China and a haunted funeral home for sale. That I think it's funny. Just go look at the picture, the real estate agent and what they did to the sign in front of this haunted mansion that they're trying to sell. So it's pretty funny. Take a look. It's all on our website, marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show or open up the show notes link down below in the description. It'll take you right here.
probably haunted. Just putting it out there. Yeah, probably. Oh my gosh, I was just watching a show today. It was what was it? It's a show uh, with the New York cop and the psychic, and they do a separate investigation, and then at the end they tell some person that's I mean literally the same type of people are on every show that are they do a paranormal investigation, and the lady basically says that she sees them, talks to them, she's a psychic. Personally, I think that whole show is staged, and I don't know how people believe it. Everything she says, then the cop goes, "Oh, look at this! There was a guy in 1923 with exactly what she said," and blah blah blah. I don't believe in those kind of scam artists. I do believe that there's paranormal stuff out there, but I don't believe in the grifters like those guys. But go, I can't remember what the heck that place is called. That show is called. If anybody knows, put it in the chat. Thank you, Dex. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
And it is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Biggie, pardon, cheese dropping, think I'm logging on your heart and knees, popping bees, polish. Biggie potting trees, dropping thick and logging on your heart and knees, popping bees, falling trumpet shirts made of cotton, world's gotten so rotten. All that give about is Robin. No, it's jotting, mobbing, biggie potting trees, dropping thick and logging on your heart and knees, popping bees, falling trumpet shirts. It's called The Dead Files and says I don't believe him either. Yeah, that's the one. And it's a retired cop. Sorry, I some of those get me, and I'm like. No, the lady, the guy, he is what he is. He doesn't say crazy claims. It's the woman, and the woman, I just don't believe her. I see her, I just think she's full of it. She doesn't just say like she senses it. She says she sees them and images, and if it's on TV, it's probably fake. Somebody, if there is somebody really like that can see that, they're not going to be on TV. They're going to be in a mental asylum, because if you saw all of that kind of stuff, it would drive you nuts. Mobbing, biggie, potting trees, dropping thick and noggin on your heart and knees, popping bees, falling trumpet shirts made of cotton, world's gotten so rotten. All that give about is Robin. Jotting mobs, mobbing, biggie, potting trees, dropping, think I'm logging on your heart and knees, popping bees, falling. No, and that's not true. Jammer said if it says made for TV, it's fake. Unless it's like, say, an egg cutter. Oh no, that's as seen on TV. Yeah, it cracks the egg perfect every time. Cracks the egg every time. Rashi. Hop, 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 going back, Patrick 4, 2, 1, everybody, hop, 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 tall corn, survival, Randy Man, alcohol, as bartering, jewel, may seem good at first, over time, huge target, everybody nerd, everybody got little thirst, hop, KT, cleans a lot, Tigers, NZ, tall corn, survival in the WI. Bring it back. Hot Rashi in the gold cold. Is it God? Is the source of everything, Doc? That's just that. It's like the wall, Paul. Wall, Paul, shape of girl, typical in the sky. I think it might be psychic, maybe it's a side op with the J Onyx on me op. State labs and the politicians going wop. Hey, maybe they might be good. No, they're ops. Ha! Bobby Sue and an Abia. Most wanted in America. Everybody gonna be always every night. I'm going back with the whole great progress. MP Rashi in the ballway. I wouldn't know how to sign in the cow. In the bow and now arrow right through the heart. And baby, we be starting the planet gonna be reset. Oh, now there, finally everybody now they All right, you guys, head over to Marfoogle News. We're going to be doing a quick video about earthquakes, and there will be no warning, and that is for sure. Actually, a more serious video, so I hope you guys all join me. I know it's late, but I had to get it out sooner than later.